Music producers, it's Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com, and you're watching another episode of Critique-My-Beats. This is the show where you get honest feedback on your beats, your production. We're here to build your building up and not burn it down. What does that mean? That means you won't hear terms like, your beat's trash, oh, that's whack, oh, try another drum. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to build you up and hopefully give you advice, not just from me, but from the audience on YouTube that likes to check your beats out too. So today, we're only getting to 2 producers, but we got 2 producers that I'm hoping to hear some bangers from. Now, first of all, if you're interested in getting your beats critiqued in a future episode, we generally drop them Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometimes Fridays. But if you're interested in getting your beats critiqued, go to CURTIQUE-MY-BEATS.com. It's also located on CurtisKingBeats.com, but CURTIQUE-MY-BEATS.com has all the information you need. There's 3 different tiers of pricing. If you're interested in that, go to CURTIQUE-MY-BEATS.com. Other than that, let's get to the first person, the first producer of the day. The first producer we're doing a beat critique for. Hold on, Green Monster Music. Didn't we just review your beats a couple of days ago? Oh, it seems that he's back. What up, Curtis King? First, thanks for the quality feedback on my past submission. The introvert in me got extremely anxious as you started to play my music. Wouldn't we all get anxious if we were introverted and your beat ended up being in front of, I don't know, 60,000 odd people? I understand. Here are 2 beats that should give a better representation of the kind of music I truly enjoy making. Last 2 beats were both trap. I only made some trap music because it's the current wave. However, hip-hop rap beats are truly what I enjoy making and have always made since my beginning. I am not too concerned with following waves because I feel there are and always will be plenty of hip-hop artists who just want to rhyme. Hope you enjoy them, and as always, I look forward to hearing your feedback. Website is also finally done. All right, so Green Monster Music, you came back for some more beats. These are more so within your style. I don't know why you sent me trap beats to begin with. You know, I don't listen just to trap beats. I'm traditionally a hip-hop producer, so I understand that sound even more than I understand trap. So any producer that's looking to submit your stuff, don't submit what you think I'm gonna think is fire. Submit whatever is your fire. We want to hear that. So you left us with 2 beats. The first one being Waiting For, I don't know what you're waiting for. And the next one is I'm Where You Ain't. So let's listen to Waiting For first. Ain't nothing like a sample beat. I really enjoyed that. I wish you would have just sent what you do. Just from now on, producers, send what you do, because I get so much better of an impression when you're putting your best foot forward. I don't want to hear your best interpretation of nobody else's sound except for yours. So as I'm listening to this, I'm hearing somebody that seems to be a lot more comfortable with the hip-hop sound, even though it's traditional hip-hop. Who cares if your mainstream audience is not listening to that particular sound anymore, at least on a broad range? Who cares? If that's what you love to do, there's an audience for that. There's an audience looking for sounds like this. There's rappers who's looking for sounds like this, because new age rappers are not just influenced by what's on the radio. They're influenced by what was on the radio 10 years ago and the stuff that wasn't on the radio 10 years ago. So first and foremost, I love how comfortable your chopping sounded in this one. I loved how cohesive everything came together with. My only particular concerns or critiques of this beat. The first thing I would say is that the sample itself, as you listen to the bass, as you replay it, and you can go back in this video, but as you replay and listen to it, the sample sounds a bit overstretched. And the way I can tell that is that certain frequencies don't relate well when it comes to sort of changing the timing of the sample. As the timing of the sample starts to change, you start to hear certain parts that don't smoothly transition to being stretched. Now, you just made the sample probably extremely too slow. You know, maybe that's what I'm assuming that it is, but it feels overstretched. Second thing, kick. We need more kick. That kick is the boom inside the bap, and we need more of that kick. We need more of a presence. I would pick a thumpier kick. Here's where you can sort of mesh your desire to make trap beats because they're the wave, and then your hip hop. Use a trap kick and insert that within this hip hop production. You'll have a knock that people who make hip hop beats won't understand. They'll be like, man, why is that so prevalent? Why? Because they're probably hip hop producer purists who never want to use any sign of a trap drum. But if you are the producer that understands both worlds, you can mesh that together and have a sound that somebody who's just a hip hop sample producer can't actually make, because you're coming through with the thumpness of a trap beat. So I think that'll be very interesting. Next thing, I think that snare definitely needs to have more life. Right now, that snare sounds super dry. It sounds super dead. But it's something that you can still resuscitate. You can still give it some air if you go and start inside the parametric equalizing or whatever you're using and start to tweak some of those mids and highs. Try to find some more special sounds within that snare instead of just kind of just laying it out there on the playlist. Last critique that I have, even though that bass was effective for the sample, I don't know how effective it is as you start to layer drums on top of it. Like, it's there, but it's just not warm. So the way that I would make this particular beat warmer in the bass frequency, I would play a live bass that basically follows that other bass. And then once you get the keys and the actual timing, I would take that bass frequency out of the sample. So then it just sounds like it's a lot fuller. It sounds like it's music that you created originally instead of you taking it from the sample. So those are my only critiques. Let's go to the next beat, which is I'm Where You Ain't. Okay, so you threw a loop at me right now because as I'm listening to this, I was expecting to hear like some more of sort of that hip hop feeling that you had originally for Waiting For. I enjoy Waiting For a lot more than this one. This one, to me, as I'm listening to it, it gives me sort of like a dated feel. It gives me sort of a G-Unit, Beg for Mercy era, 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Young Buck era, right? And as I'm listening to it, I'm starting to hear certain elements of it that expose why it's dated. The instruments that sound dated to me, the snare, first of all. I feel like the snare, that's one of those snares that you've been hearing around in hip hop. Well, you haven't heard it for some years, but you've been hearing it in hip hop for at least the last 10, 11, 12 years. And the kick, let's just go down the line. Let's talk about it. So I think that the initial bass lead that you use was way too monotonous. And if that was going to be your bass line, you got to change that bass line. You got to find, not even just change the keys, because you want to have some variation there, but you want to make sure that you have a more subbier bass. Like, let us feel that bass that's within this beat. Without the bass, there is no heart within the beat, in my opinion. You don't have bass, you don't have heart in this beat. And I think that it's begging for that. And I know that you have sort of that bass going through there, but I think you need to EQ it. It sounds like it might be stock sounds, but as you can tell from the tutorials that I do, stock sounds is not an excuse. You just got to be able to EQ those and do some sound design. That was something else too, is that I would have liked to see more variation within the actual arrangement of the beat. Take some instruments out, take the drums out, do a little roll, a drum roll, or just something, because even in those G-Unit records, when it was like high tech producing those, they still had variations in them that made them interesting to listen to. The next critique I would say is that the kick could have been tighter. The kick right now has a little bit too much air following it. If you were to like shrink down that kick by shaping it, like I show you in those videos, shape it, that kick is gonna have a different thump. This one too, I think, could have called for a more trap-based kick to really thump through on the mix, because right now it just sounds like it's just one kick with a whole lot of air on the end of it, a whole lot of, I don't know if you want to call it reverb, but just too much air, too much space behind it. It needs more thump. And then the last thing, very minor thing, is that I think the hi-hats also add to it sounding dated. I think that now hi-hats are a lot thinner in the mix, and even if you were doing sort of a G-Unit-esque record, you got to tighten those hi-hats up, maybe take them up a frequency. You know what I mean? I think you need to definitely shape those to be thinner, because right now, as they are, they just take up a lot of space, and they really do sound dated to me. But either way, I enjoyed waiting for it. That was one. You left your website. Let's go check your website out and just check this out real quick. Super dope. So now we got a face with the music. Okay, so you guys can go check them out, greenmonstermusic.com. Dope. I'm glad you got your website together, man. This is actually really clean. You've been exposed to his music. Thank you, Green Monster Music, for going ahead and coming back. Let's go to the next producer now. And the last producer. I believe your name is Gary Pickens. Just starting out, was on and off into producing. Wants your opinion. Don't have a site or social media set out for my site. Just want to start somewhere with a professional opinion. Let me know what you think. Everything seems to peak at a negative 1.5 decibel, so it should be well within the threshold for a good mix. Not sure though. Let me know. Well, you left us with one beat, no social medias. It's all good. This one's called Aqua. If you're in my YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment and let folks know, like, at least where they can subscribe to you. So let's listen to it right now. Okay, so Gary Pickens, you left us with, I guess I kind of want to label it an emotional trap beat, something that I probably would hear a singer over. Like, I can hear Bryson Tiller over that. I could even hear like one of the crazy haired trap singer rappers, like a Trippie Redd. I could hear over something like this. I can even hear a little bit of Travis Scott within this. But for you to be just starting out, I think that you show an amazing ear for detail, especially when it comes to that 808s. The 808 slides to me were the highlight within this beat. Now, the pad definitely set the mood. It became a very moody record that I can hear like Drake being a feature on, which is important. And I don't want to make it seem like you have to have a beat that these rappers have to get on for it to be a good beat. I listened to this and immediately names start coming to me. That's usually good signs that a beat's gonna sell well on the open market when it comes to leasing your beats. It's also a good sign that you might even get a placement with something like that. But as I'm listening to it, the first thing that kind of pops out is just the mix. I feel like you had some of the right instrument choices aside from the hi-hats. The hi-hats I feel like had way too much reverb on them. I feel like it just, as much as you want to create space, like they're still too bright and they still have too much reverb on them. If you were to like deaden the highness on the hi-hats and then add a reverb, they would seem off into the distance and a lot more mysterious. Also, speaking about the pad, I feel like the pad had some high frequencies that you could have took this through a low pass filter or just something that would cut some of those high frequencies, because at some point they start to kind of like bleed into that high frequency. They don't seem like they naturally flow through. Right now it seems like you found a pad and you left it on the preset, but you didn't really add any kind of layering that would kind of protect those high frequencies from going too crazy. As I'm listening to it, it's a very slight thing, but I'm listening to it and that pad just sounds like it's getting ready to go up to that high frequency, even though it's not a pad that's played in really a high octave. So that was kind of something that became sort of a ear issue for me. Also, for my very last critique or my very last suggestion, I would have liked to see this go through more sound design transitions. I think that you had a couple of special parts in the verse where you could have took it through a low sweeping pass filter where it's like they and it comes back out. You know what sound I'm talking about. Don't be laughing at me. But that low sweeping, low pass filter, I think you could have added that to a few parts in the verse to give it some more variation, but it definitely need to come into that chorus. I think that you right now are expecting a rapper to tell a story or a singer to tell a story, but something needs to happen. It's almost like you ever watch a movie that just takes too long to get to the action scene, and then they finally get to the action scene and it's like, okay, is this it? And nothing's happening. That's what I feel like is happening with the beat. It's a dope beat. I like the vibes of it. I like the emotional vibes of it, but I feel like it needs to go somewhere. It needs to progress the deeper we listen to this song. Now, we listened to 1 minute and 30 seconds. That was more than enough time for you to take us somewhere else. And I don't mean just switch the instruments. Really think about the psychology of the sound design that you're using. Something I've been doing when I make my beats, I'll start off super creative. I don't think about the technical aspects. I'm not worried about any limiters, any EQing. I'm trying to get the sound that I have inside my head out there. After that, then I start going technical. After I've gone technical for some time, I pull back, go creative again, but think about the big picture. So what is the big picture of this record? What do you want somebody to do over this record? You want them to tell a story? Okay, are you doing your best to share different melodic instruments that will help somebody tell a story? Are you accompanying that story, or are you just mindlessly looping over the same sound as that rapper has to come up with all the different intricate parts of this? I would really sit there and think of yourself as almost a co-producer to your beat. Say, what's the bigger picture with this beat? What is it missing? Not instrument-wise. What is it missing? What emotion do I need to try to evoke? Now, when I figure out what emotion, now I can figure out what melody or what instrument would play well into that. So just something to give thought. I wish you left your information, but if y'all want to get a hold of them and you want to get your hands on this beat, go to gpickens1993@yahoo.com. Well, producers, only 2 folks today, but if you're interested in having your beats critiqued, drop my pen. Go to CURTIQUE-MY-BEATS.com. And like I said, we got 3 different packages. You see the one that interests you, go ahead and sign up. You'll get information as soon as you go ahead and purchase and it goes through. You'll get information on where to send your beats. After you send your beats, it's looking real good right now. You may be on the next episode if you go ahead and work on that right now. Either way, producers, I enjoy giving you these critiques. I hope you find them very valuable. Once again, this is Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com. Peace. Please subscribe to the channel below, Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com.